Time now for the front page for Monday. This is October 2nd, 2023. In national news this morning, Congress narrowly averted a government shutdown Saturday as the House, in a stunning turnabout, approved a stopgap plan to keep the federal government open until mid-November. After Senate passage, President Biden signed the bill shortly before midnight, this being reported by the New York Times. In a rapid-fire sequence of events on Capitol Hill, a coalition of House Democrats and Republicans voted to pass a plan that would keep money flowing to government agencies and provide billions of dollars for disaster recovery efforts. The bill did not include money for Ukraine, despite a push for it by the White House and members of both parties in the Senate. House Democrats embraced the plan anyway, seeing it as the most expedient way to avoid a widespread government shutdown. Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who had for weeks brushed off demands to work with Democrats on a spending solution, outlined the proposal for Republicans in a closed-door meeting on Saturday, then rushed to get it onto the floor under a special procedure that meant it could only pass with substantial Democrat help. This did not please hardline right-wing Republican representatives. ABC News is reporting Capitol Hill is set for another week of twists and turns, having only just narrowly avoided a partial shutdown of the federal government. As Florida Republican Representative Matt Gaetz says he now plans to force a vote on whether to oust Speaker Kevin McCarthy from the chair. In an appearance on ABC's This Week on Sunday, Gaetz criticized McCarthy's handling of spending and budget fights since the GOP retook the House in January, and claimed that McCarthy had violated promises that he made in order to be chosen as Speaker. Gaetz said he would move this week to remove McCarthy in light of a temporary funding bill that McCarthy backed and passed with majority Democrat support late on Saturday to avert the government shutdown. McCarthy, for his part, has projected confidence about his chances, suggests that Gaetz is driven by a personal grudge, which Gaetz denies. Let's get it over with, and let's start governing, said McCarthy on CBS yesterday. The New York Post is reporting that Representative Matt Gaetz, his GOP colleagues, are looking to boot him from the party caucus in the House of Representatives. The firebrand Florida lawmaker is leading a push to oust Speaker Kevin McCarthy. This from the New York Post. Long peeved by Gaetz, who has targeted GOP leadership and undercut his party repeatedly, some Republicans are chomping at the bit to expel the congressman if the House Ethics Committee investigates him, finds wrongdoing. This according to Fox News. No one can stand him at this point. A smart guy without morals, said one lawmaker. Gaetz, who is rumored to be eyeing a run for Florida governor, brushed aside the threat, posting a Game of Thrones meme. A motion to expel requires a two-thirds vote to go through, meaning Democrats will hypothetically need to come on board, given the 221 to 212 Republican to Democrat makeup of the lower chamber. By the way, there's going to be one of those emergency broadcast tests. They used to call them that. It's going to be a massive national emergency alert this Wednesday afternoon. USA Today is reporting on Wednesday, October 4th at 2:20 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Every TV, radio, and cell phone in the United States should blare out a distinctive, jarring electronic warning tone of emergency alert. It is, however, a test, only a test. Had this been an actual emergency, I would be reading this article much quicker. Officially, the trial is called a nationwide emergency alert test. You know it's a test and not an actual emergency because it's accompanied by an explanation. This goes all the way back to the Cold War in the 1950s. The tone cannot be played beforehand, so you don't have any idea what it is going to sound like for obvious reasons. If we play the tone, then you're in a situation where you would think that there is an actual honest-to-goodness alert, so we can't play it for you. The national test will consist of two parts, which occurs in conjunction with one another, to test the emergency alert system and the wireless emergency alert system, according to FEMA. The WEA, the wireless emergency alerts, will be directed to all cell phones. The EAS, the emergency alert system, will notify all radio and television broadcasters, cable systems, satellite radio and television providers, and wireline video providers. The message will be heard and seen pretty much everywhere. It's being conducted with the participation of radio and television broadcasters, cable systems, satellite radio companies, and cell phone networks. The Supreme Court is returning to work. A lot of cases are pending. USA Today reports the Supreme Court kicks off a 9-month term today that will thrust the justices into partisan quagmires over guns, social media, and the Biden administration's power to make decisions without Congress. USA Today also reports the justices will step into an ornate courtroom to hear oral arguments for the first time in months, but they will be confronting more than the usual docket. They'll also be wrestling with persistent questions about Supreme Court ethics and foreign travel that polls have shown undermine America's faith in the institution. One of the more compelling cases on the deck this year will be whether Americans who are subjected to domestic violence restraining orders can be barred from owning guns under the Second Amendment. If the court decides to answer that question yes, then the 6-3 conservative majority will have to find ways to square that with a landmark opinion handed down just last year that undermined many gun regulations. Politics news. Representative Jamal Brown, he's a Democrat from New York, pulled a fire alarm to delay the shutdown vote in the United States Congress. This is being reported by Reuters. Democrat U.S. Representative Jamal Bowman faced investigation yesterday, the morning after he pulled a fire alarm in the Capitol complex as his party was trying to delay a key vote, prompting an evacuation of a congressional office building. A still image released by the Capitol Police Saturday showed Bowman, who represents parts of New York City and its immediate suburbs, activating the fire alarm near an exit to an office building which houses congressional offices. Police say they were investigating the incident, as is the House Administration Committee, a Republican-controlled congressional panel that oversees House grounds. Bowman, in a statement, admitted to pulling the fire alarm, which he said he regretted, but disputed that he did so to delay the vote, as many Republicans now assert. Governor Kathy Hochul of New York wants to limit immigration. This from Fox News. Democrat New York Governor Kathy Hochul on Sunday called on Congress to limit who crosses the border, saying it's too open right now. Ironically repeating what congressional Republicans have long demanded from the Biden administration, Hochul made the plea during an appearance on CBS's Face the Nation. CBS host Margaret Brennan noted that there were no border provisions in the federal spending deal struck by House Speaker Kevin McCarthy this weekend to avoid a government shutdown, asking Hochul what she would want Congress to get done in the next 45 days. She said, quote, "Well, shame on Speaker McCarthy and Republicans in Congress, including 9 from New York State, who are complaining like crazy about migrants but refuse to work with President Biden and come up with a sensible border strategy. It can be done. It can be done in a bipartisan way, comprehensive immigration reform," unquote. News from the states today. In Illinois, hundreds of immigrants living in Chicago's O'Hare Airport becoming a bigger problem. This from Fox News. Hundreds of migrants live inside a shuttle bus center at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport for weeks at a time as the city is attempting to move them into shelters. The Associated Press reports that migrants are staying inside a shuttle bus center at O'Hare's International Airport Terminal 1, where they share airport bathrooms and sleep on cardboard laid out on the floor. Vianney Marzullo, volunteer at O'Hare, told the Associated Press the shuttle bus center was supposed to be a stop-and-go place. She said, quote, "It's very concerning. It's not just a safety matter, but a public health matter," unquote. The migrants live behind a black curtain, and a privacy company monitors their movements. Chicago currently uses 2 international airports, both O'Hare and Midway, to house migrants, according to the Associated Press. Out of New York, a judge has ordered the state of New York to pay the NRA. A New York judge ordered the state to pay nearly $500,000 in legal fees to the National Rifle Association after the gun rights group won a major case in the Supreme Court. In a case decided last summer, the Supreme Court ruled that a New York public carry licensing law was unconstitutional and that the ability to carry a pistol in public was a constitutional right guaranteed by the Second Amendment. The NRA was a party in that case, the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, and last week a New York judge ordered the state to pay $447,700.82 in court costs, legal fees, to both of those organizations. Quote, "The NRA regards the $447,000 award in the NYSRPAV Bruin case as a pivotal victory, a symbol that justice is definitely on our side," said Michael Jean, the NRA's director of the Office of Litigation Counsel, speaking to Fox News in a statement. In Kansas, a Wichita mayor has suspended the police chief over the raid at a local newspaper. This from USA Today. The police chief in a small Kansas town who made global headlines by raiding the offices of the local newspaper has been suspended by the mayor, who earlier said that the controversy made local officials look like a bunch of hicks. Marion Police Chief Gideon Cody led the August raid, which included several officers and a sheriff's deputy, at the Marion County Record in the homes of an owner of the paper and vice mayor. A search warrant indicated police were investigating a local restaurateur's claim that the paper illegally obtained information about her. Editor and publisher Eric Mayer said, but he says he believes the real reason for the search was the paper's investigation of Cody's previous police work before being hired as in Marion just months before the raid. Mayor David Mayfield confirmed the suspension in an email to the Wichita Eagle, adding that he would not comment further because it was a personnel matter. In Florida, a woman has filed a lawsuit against Disney for an injurious wedgie. This being reported by Fox Biz. A woman is seeking a hefty sum of money from the House of Mouse in a recent lawsuit following an unpleasant trip down a water slide at Disney's Typhoon Lagoon that resulted in an injurious wedgie. In a lawsuit filed Wednesday in Orange County, Florida, Emma and Edward McGinnis said that they are seeking $50,000 in damages from Disney World from injuries from a 2019 visit to the resort's popular water park. The lawsuit details Emma's painful trip down the Humunga Cowabunga slide, which consists of 3 body tubes totaling 214 feet in length. The ride ends in a nearly 5-story plummet in the dark at nearly 40 miles an hour into the pool. And finally, in sports, the Red Sox are mourning the loss of 2-time World Series champion Tim Wakefield. The knuckleball pitcher died at age 57 from brain cancer. This according to the Boston Red Sox. Quote, "Our hearts are broken with the loss of Tim Wakefield." This according to the White Sox, make that the Red Sox on social media. Wake embodied true goodness, a devoted husband, father, and teammate, beloved broadcaster, and ultimate community leader. He gave so much to the game and all of Red Sox Nation. A 19-year Major League Baseball veteran, Wakefield started his career in 1992 with the Pittsburgh Pirates, but is known for his time in Boston, where he spent the last 17 years of his career. The knuckleballer was a mainstay on the Red Sox pitching staff, going from starter to reliever throughout his tenure in Boston. He won 2 World Series rings, made the All-Star game in 2009, awarded the Roberto Clemente Award in 2010. God bless and rest in peace, Tim Wakefield. God bless his family as well. And that is today's front page.